You think you're alone in this crushing darkness, don't you? Feeling the weight of the world, of loss, of maybe just an inexplicable emptiness pressing in, squeezing the breath from your lungs, whispering lies that God has forgotten you, that this despair is your permanent address, a desolate, unchangeable landscape you're condemned to wander endlessly, a place where hope feels not just distant but utterly mythical, a cruel fable whispered by those who haven't truly known this kind of pain, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes waking up feel like a betrayal of the only peace sleep might offer, a fragile, temporary truce before the onslaught of reality, the gnawing ache of what was lost, or what never was, or the sheer, overwhelming anxiety of what might be, and you grasp for anything at all, distraction, numbness, explanations, but the void remains, a gaping wound in your soul, and maybe you've tried everything the world offers, the self-help books, the positive affirmations that feel like a cruel joke when your heart is breaking, the well-meaning advice that bounces off the thick walls of your desolation because they don't understand the secret language of this particular kind of suffering, the way it steals your joy, your purpose, your very sense of self, leaving behind a hollow echo where your spirit used to reside. And this isn't just sadness, is it? You know it in the deepest core of your being that this is something more profound, a spiritual affliction, a separation that aches with an intensity no physical pain can match, because physical pain eventually fades. But this spiritual pain, this disconnect, it seems to deepen with every passing moment, every unanswered prayer that feels like it's just hitting the ceiling, every attempt to feel God's presence that results only in silence, a deafening, terrifying silence that confirms your worst fears. You are abandoned, you are unworthy, you are too broken for even divine intervention. And you start to believe the lie that this is simply your fate, this perpetual state of wading through emotional quicksand, watching helplessly as the solid ground of hope recedes further and further away. A cruel mirage shimmering just out of reach, a torture designed specifically for you. And the pain references here are not just theoretical, are they? You feel them acutely, the tightness in your chest, the perpetual knot in your stomach, the exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure, the way colors seem dimmer, sounds more muted, food less flavorful, as if the world itself is mirroring the gray landscape within you, confirming the depth of your despair. And perhaps you even question everything you once believed. The faith that once felt like an anchor now feels like another burden, another expectation you're failing to meet, another reminder of how far you've fallen from the person you were, or the person you thought you should be. And you wonder if anyone, anywhere, has ever felt this specific, suffocating blend of emptiness, fear, and spiritual isolation. If there's a hidden truth about this kind of suffering that you're simply missing, a key you haven't found, a door you haven't seen, because the conventional wisdom doesn't seem to apply here. It feels too simplistic, too detached from the raw, visceral reality of your struggle, the internal battle raging constantly, draining your energy, stealing your peace, and you start to accept this as your new normal, the low hum of despair becoming the soundtrack to your life, a constant reminder of the hope you've lost, or the hope you never truly had. And this is the critical point, the shocking realization I need you to grasp right now. You are not meant to stay here. This is not your final destination. And the very fact that you are feeling this pain, this deep spiritual ache, is not a sign of God's absence, but a painful, undeniable signal that something profound is stirring within you, a desperate yearning for connection, for healing, for transformation, even if you can't articulate it, even if it feels buried under layers of pain and hopelessness. And this brings us to the first crucial insight, the secret God revealed to me when I was drowning in my own version of this darkness. God meets you precisely in your despair, not after you've tidied yourself up, not after you've mustered enough faith to climb out, but right there in the mess, in the tears, in the utter brokenness. His presence isn't contingent on your emotional state or your spiritual performance. It is a radical, unwavering, grace-filled intrusion into your pain. And the mystery here is that His presence often doesn't feel like a sudden burst of light, but sometimes a subtle shift, a tiny flicker of possibility in the overwhelming darkness, a barely perceptible hand reaching out to you in the depths. And you might miss it if you're looking for a Hollywood-esque miracle, but it's there, woven into the fabric of your struggle, a quiet promise in the storm. And recognizing this is the first step, understanding that your pain is not a barrier to God, but an invitation for Him to enter, a space for His power to be revealed in your weakness, because His strength is made perfect in your weakness. That's not just a nice Bible verse, it's a profound, transformative truth about how God operates in our lives, particularly in our darkest moments, and the pain you feel, the despair that threatens to consume you, is the very canvas upon which God desires to paint a masterpiece of hope, a testament to His ability to redeem, restore, and renew. And you might be thinking, but how? How does His presence help when the pain is so real, the despair so heavy, And this leads us to the second vital insight, a powerful truth that counteracts the lie that you must fix yourself first. True spiritual healing doesn't come from your effort to change your feelings or circumstances, but from allowing God to work within you. It's a process of surrender, of releasing the grip you have on trying to control the outcome, on trying to muscle your way out of the darkness, and instead opening your hands, even if they're trembling, and saying, God, I can't do this, but I believe you can. And this surrender isn't weakness, it's the most profound act of faith you can undertake when you're at the bottom. It's acknowledging your limitations and inviting the limitless power of God into your situation. And the mystery here is that this surrender often unlocks unexpected pathways, reveals hidden resources, and brings a peace that defies understanding, not because your circumstances have magically changed, but because your perspective has shifted, because you are no longer relying on your own finite strength but on God's infinite capacity to heal and restore. And this process involves leaning into His Word, not as a set of rules or a checklist, but as a living, breathing source of comfort, guidance, and transformative power. His promises aren't just words on a page. They are divine blueprints for your restoration, reassurances whispered directly to your weary soul, a secret language of hope spoken by the Creator of the universe to His beloved child, you. And the pain you've experienced gives you a unique lens through which to see the depth and richness of these promises. They resonate differently when you've known true despair, when you've felt the ache for something more, for something real. And this personal connection to God's Word is not just reading, it's receiving. It's allowing the truth to penetrate the layers of pain and doubt, to speak directly to the wounded parts of your heart. And this leads us to the third crucial insight, a shocking truth about the power of focusing on God's character, not just your circumstances. When you shift your focus from the overwhelming nature of your despair to the unwavering nature of God's love, faithfulness, and power, your internal landscape begins to change. It's not ignoring the pain, but placing it within the larger context of a God who is bigger than your problems, stronger than your despair, and more loving than you can possibly imagine. And the mystery is how this simple shift in focus can disarm the power of despair, how focusing on who God is can change how you experience what you are going through. Because despair thrives in isolation and self-focus. It tells you that you are the problem, that your situation is hopeless. But focusing on God reminds you that you are part of a larger story, a story of redemption and restoration orchestrated by a God who specializes in turning ashes into beauty, and bringing light into the deepest darkness. And the pain you've endured becomes not a permanent scar, but a testament to the refining fire you've walked through with God, a powerful part of your unique story of transformation. And this process of focusing on God's character is an active choice, a daily discipline of turning your gaze from the storm around you to the steadfast presence of the one who holds the storm in His hands. It's choosing to believe His promises even when your feelings scream otherwise. It's clinging to the truth of His Word when the lies of despair feel overwhelmingly convincing. And this is where the transformative power truly begins to manifest, not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of God within the pain, changing your capacity to endure, equipping you with a peace that transcends your circumstances, a strength that isn't your own. And as you lean into these truths, as you allow God to meet you in your pain, surrender your struggle to Him, and focus on His unchanging character, you will begin to notice a subtle but undeniable shift. The despair doesn't vanish overnight, it's a journey, but its grip starts to loosen, its voice begins to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence, a budding hope that feels foreign but incredibly real, a hope rooted not in wishful thinking, but in the proven track record of a God who has redeemed countless lives from the depths of despair, a hope anchored in the unwavering truth of His promises. And the pain you once thought would destroy you becomes the very soil from which new life sprouts, a powerful reminder of God's redemptive power at work in your life, demonstrating to you, and potentially to others, the shocking truth that even the deepest despair can be transformed into a powerful testimony of God's grace and healing power. And this transformation isn't about becoming someone else, but about becoming the person God created you to be, freed from the heavy chains of despair, empowered by His Spirit, living a life marked not by the pain you've endured, but by the hope you found in God, a hope that is resilient, unwavering, and capable of weathering any future storms because it's built on the solid rock of His faithfulness. And the secret isn't a magic formula, but a relationship, a continuous walk with the one who has already overcome the darkness, who has already paid the price for your freedom from the despair that holds you captive. And as you continue this journey, remember that your story, your struggle, your eventual triumph through God's power, has the potential to be a beacon of hope for someone else walking through their own valley, a living testament to the fact that despair is not the end, that hope is always possible with God, that transformation is not just a concept but a tangible reality for those who surrender their brokenness to the one who heals all wounds. And this is why sharing your journey, your insights, your raw, honest feelings about this process is so incredibly powerful, because it breaks the isolation that despair thrives on. It connects you with others who understand, who are walking a similar path, and it glorifies the God who makes all things new, even the shattered pieces of a broken heart, leading you from the crushing weight of despair into the liberating embrace of hope, a transformation made possible only through the boundless, unconditional love and power of God. A journey that starts the moment you decide to stop fighting alone and invite Him fully into your pain, trusting that He will guide you, heal you, and lead you into the light, forever changing the landscape of your heart from one of desolation to one overflowing with His peace and unwavering hope, a truly miraculous journey from despair to hope, powered by the transforming presence of God Himself. And if this message resonated with you, if you're ready to start or continue this journey from despair to hope with God, if you felt that flicker of recognition or that stir of possibility in your own heart as I shared these truths God revealed to me, then I urge you, don't keep this to yourself. There are others who need to hear this message, who need to know they're not alone and that hope is real, and you can help spread that hope by simply clicking the subscribe button right now so you don't miss any future messages of healing, hope, and transformation through God's Word. Joining a community of people who are actively pursuing God's peace and finding freedom from the things that hold them back.